Hi everyone, I'm Danielle Byington, and in this Dante video, we're going to be talking about Canto 1. Remember that I said, if you saw my video, that it covers this sort of background information about Dante and about Inferno, that there are 34 cantos in Inferno, whereas there are only 33 in um, Purgatory and Paradise. And so this extra one that we have, the one that makes it 34 instead of 33 in Inferno, we kind of look at Canto 1 as sort of like a prologue to what's happening, where we are. So you can think of that in terms of like Greek drama or later plays in the early modern era. So here's the scene, here's where we are, what time it is. I mean, he tells you exactly what day it is as well. So Dante is writing as if he is the speaker himself, and like he's the main character. He is talking about this taking place on the Thursday before Good Friday, so this means it's right before Easter as well. He tells us that he is halfway through the journey of life. Different translations will have different phrasing of that. But that is how we speculate that he was 35 years old when he wrote Inferno. And that's how we like speculate the year that he was born based off of that, because he is pointing to it, that year, well, that age, rather, I should say, referring to a biblical lifespan of 70 years. So we are in the woods, and it's not a fun green world with fairies and sprites. This place is pretty scary. This is the dark woods. You will see translations that call it gloomy woods or darksome woods, like I have used here. So I found that I was in a darksome wood, the right road lost and vanished in the maze. So this place, the dark woods, the dark wood, it is assumed to be a sort of metaphor for sin, for chaos. It's sort of meant to be more like sin or your own troubles of the world that are weighing on you, because it's about how you perceive it in life and what you will make of those situations. Like, will you try to make it better? Because if you're in this dark wood, then that would mean you probably can't really see where you're going. And that's why it goes on to say in this particular translation that we have sort of vanished in the maze. That's why we can't find the road back out. We can't find the path, the footpath, whatever it might be, back out of the dark wood. And so it's kind of like that cliche expression, you can't see the forest for the trees. It it could be right in front of you, but you can't see it because of all these other external things going on. Now, in this situation, he then encounters three animals as he's trying to escape and get out of the dark wood: a leopard, a lion, and a she-wolf. Now, these three animals use will see a very popular connotation that they represent fraud, violence, and incontinence, or just a lack of self-control, rather. And if you saw my first video where I'm talking about the background of the text, you know that these three things are well, they have lots of little multifaceted ways that they can be interpreted. So, like the incontinence, the lack of self-control, you see that in terms of greed and lust in some of the earlier circles of hell that Dante goes through. And then we have violence. So you have the wood of the suicides. You have those who were violent against God, those who were violent against nature, violent against others. So all of those, remember I said that, well, there are nine circles, but some of them have different divisions. And then we get down to fraud, where we actually get into the frozen lake in hell. And a little side note here, the wolf is he tells us around line 86 or so, depending on which translation you would be looking at. He's asking Virgil to help guard him from these animals, especially this she-wolf, because we can interpret the she-wolf as representing Rome. So there's been a lot of political upheaval that has happened in Dante's life that has influenced him to this point, that reflects his political views throughout the entire text. Remember, there's a sort of war going on about who is really in charge, the Pope or the Emperor of the Holy Roman Empire. Now, when he first encounters these animals, he has just met his tour guide, and that is Virgil. So you might remember Virgil from the Aeneid, and that's how Virgil even introduces himself. And first, it tells us this is something familiar as well from the Aeneid. It's a kind of image that also happens in the Iliad. That Virgil, around lines, the early 60s, like 61, 62 or so. Again, that's approximation, depending on what translation you're looking at, if they took artistic liberties with the meter or not. So Virgil kind of appears as this a kind of air, like AIR air. It can be a certain color. It could be like a mist, like a cloud. We had that happen in the Aeneid when Venus shrouds her son Aeneas and his comrades, the survivors from Troy. She shrouds them in a mist to kind of cloak them as they are first walking through Carthage for their safety. You also have this golden mist happen in the Iliad when Achilles is trying to go back and retrieve the body of his beloved comrade Patroclus. So he's shrouded in this mist and gives this barbaric scream that frightens everyone. It says it frightens even the horses. I point that out in that video from that book in the Iliad. And that was another sort of image of this cloud, this mist. Well, this time Virgil just kind of apparates out of this mist, and it's not like Dante didn't know who he was, because he's having kind of a fanboy moment about it's Virgil. It's one of the biggest Italian authors ever. And so it's not like he didn't know, but Virgil tells us anyways that you might know me from writing the Aeneid. It almost sounds like he's giving an infomercial kind of background. And so basically, Virgil goes on to tell him, I'm going to be your tour guide through hell. But then you're also going to go through purgatory. Definitely cannot take you through heaven because I was born before Christianity even existed. So I'm stuck down here in the lower places. And someone who you have had on your mind, you remember me talking about Beatrice from the first video when I give you the background information about Dante. She makes an appearance in this text, and she, being the heavenly person that he idealizes her as being, Dante writes her as being his guide later in the heavenly space. Okay, that is all for Canto 1. Be sure to watch the succeeding videos so you can see more of Dante's quest. Thanks.